Hey guys, Tim here with Two Feathers Survival, back in the what should be the sunny south, but is a very rainy and cold, very dreary day today. Well, rumor has it we're actually supposed to have some freezing rain mix later on this evening, and it's in the very low 40s right now. It's been raining for about maybe 24 hours. Pretty good rain. There's a couple points that I wanted to talk about today. It's about trails like this. This trail is not far from my home at all, and it's one that a lot of people frequent. It's well marked, but still, every year people go out on well marked trails and simply become lost, or they didn't take into account changing weather patterns and didn't properly prepare their trip. Most will become confused, most will run, which we've spoken about before, and think about what it is that they need to do. Well, if you start running, you could possibly get yourself into more harm's way. Something that you really should do is simply this. Take a knee. Take a knee, assess your surroundings, think about where your last known place was, where your last steps were, and retrace, if you can, back to then. Simply running off into the woods is only going to bring in more confusion to your own brain when you already are starting to become scared. So simply take a knee and assess your surroundings. Hopefully after you get your heart rate back down, you'll realize, oh, okay, that tree I've walked by, I know where I am to get back to the trail. As I said, this trail is well marked, but why is it every year in our nation's trails, people go lost and ultimately perish due to environment? Something we're going to take a look at on Two Feathers Survival. Stay with me, guys. All right, guys, well, as I had said, every year, even on well-established trails, people tend to go missing or they succumb to elements because they just simply weren't prepared for a change of the weather. There's countless stories, and Les Stroud does a great part in all of his books where he'll pick apart a survival situation that has come from a real world or real life encounter. And he looks at the situations and decides, okay, what is it that could have become or been done better, I guess I should say, to increase the chance of survivability with that person. And for most, be it trail runners or bike riders that like to get out into the backcountry, they just simply don't take the time to pre-plan what it is that they're getting ready to do. Now, I came out here today and I already had mentioned it's cold and it already is rainy. But what if this was a bright sunny day, and all of a sudden, if it's in high mountain terrain, which I'm not here in South Carolina, but if I was up in the mountains and that storm rolls in and the temperature falls and I only had a t-shirt, maybe an undergarment of some sort on beyond that, but I don't have a jacket in a backpack, or worst case, I don't even have a backpack to have other items in, ways to make fire, cutting tools, those type of things that we've spoken about before. It's because of those situations where people then get into trouble, and once they're in trouble, panic starts to set in. It's that panic, guys, that you really have to learn how to control and make sure that that panic isn't doing you in further, getting you further into harm's way or into trouble. So, good pre-plan is very, very important. If I have a good pre-plan, then I've brought in things that I can make fire with, maybe even dry tinder. As I said, it's really rainy today. Probably would not get a fire going on today without some heavy cutting tools involved in that situation. So, did I bring in some other type of a fire lighting system or a way to at least cook or warm up some sort of a drink so I can get my core temperature up? Those are the things that you need to think about bringing in. All right, guys, well, to kind of continue this thought, today isn't really a great day to be in the woods. It's very rainy, it is very cold. Fingers are getting definitely a little chilled. I thought I would come out here and find a way to light a fire. I could if I really want to, but it actually would probably require a lot of work. The area where I'm at is quite swampy. There's a lot of standing water around. It's very heavily raining. Even though I got a lot of down pine trees from our hurricane earlier in the year, to get a fire today would be kind of a bit of a challenge. So what I actually brought in with me is a couple things. And I wanted to kind of show you this a while ago. Get into my bag here. Something else while I'm thinking of it on these bags. So all my zippers are off to the side. They're not up at the top. If I leave them at the top, actually there's a way then that I can get water inside what should be a waterproof bag. This is actually the Maxpedition bag. So keep them off to the side just as a food for thought point. So most of the time we've spoken on the channel about some ways to cook, some ways to purify water, and both of these containers will do that and actually have some water in here. But here's the thing with both of these. This requires me being able to light a fire. If I really needed to get something warm in my body, a warm cup of tea, anything like that, there's no way I can do that right now. It would require a lot of work, and if I'm going to rely on I can make fire by friction or anything like that, or even fire by some sort of a striking method, the chances of finding dry tinder on a day like today is very, very few and far between. Yeah, sure, I could process down some wood and get to the inside and hopefully get some dry wood, get a lot of dry shavings, but if I don't bring in the right tools, then I can't do that either. So there is another option, and it's one that I know on Facebook I've mentioned. This here is actually a Jetboil. I love this thing. This has made, hold on, it's really kind of coming down again, gang. This has made numerous cups of coffee whenever I've taken my family camping, made hot cocoa, made a lot of different things at our campsites, even though I usually bring in some sort of a Coleman stove and I always cook on an open campfire. This has been a wonderful, wonderful piece of equipment, and I'm so happy that I got it. Typically this always finds its way back into my backpack. So what I'm going to do is I'll try to restation some of these cameras here, bring this out, show you what this does. These things are so great, they'll actually boil water in about a minute, sometimes less. It's going to depend on elevation and ambient temperature and those things. But the ability to then have some sort of hot cup of coffee, tea, whatever you like, or to warm up some sort of a trailside food is great, because this takes all of the questioning of whether or not I can get a campfire going on a blustery day like today. They are kind of pricey, but I would strongly recommend that if you have they're $50 to $70 depending on which model that you get. If you have that, by all means get it, put it down in your pack. And something that Dave Canterbury speaks about a lot on his channel is, does it do more than one thing? And the answer is yes. Not only is it a self-contained way to heat up water, but I can also use a small frying pan, which we spoke about on the channel just the other day in our Two Feathers Tuesdays, those cast iron pans. I could put that on top of here as well if I wanted to cook up something like sausage or anything that I brought inside the woods with me. So great item, strongly recommend you adding one to your kit. Let me move the camera and I'll show you what I'm talking about with this. All right guys, so the Jetboil has really been a marvelous piece of equipment. Like I said, it does take up pack space. They're not very heavy. I'll try to add in to the notes all the different sizes and weights and everything on this. It has a small cup off the bottom. I'll set that aside for a second here. And it has a silicone base top. And that silicone top is really kind of key to some of this system here. I then have a burner. Burner is a Pizio style electric burner, and that burner is multi-purpose. Not only will it cook with the Jetboil system itself, but also I can add in any type of small frying pan that I want with that, and that's because of this little system here. So what this is, this sits over the burner, and you just kind of Open these up, and that gives you more of a burner surface. This then sits on the top like that. Hopefully you can see that. And then this way I can set a frying pan or a flat bottom pan, or even my cup here. I can set that on there and cook with this style of system this way. You always don't need that. I'm going to set that aside again for a second here. The other thing that's down in here is the fuel system, and then a base. And a lot of times I don't actually use that base. So the fuel system simply screws by threads here onto the bottom of your burner. Make sure that you fold the little ring here out. Hope you can see that okay here. Fold the little ring out, and this then, as you can hear, will adjust the size of the flame here. So once you have all that set up, and I'm going to start this here. There we go. So once I have that flame started, like I said, I could put this on and make this a grill top just with that cup right there. It's one way that I could utilize the system, and you see there's already steam coming off with just a little bit of rainwater that was down in there. The way that this really should work, shut this back off. Hopefully this isn't too warm yet. It's not. Set that aside for a second. Is the titanium cup actually will mount right to the burner, and you see that there's kind of some divots here. Those divots then allow the titanium cup, you line those up, and now it's all fastened together, and it's now one contained system. Set that down for a second. I brought some water in with me, just some fresh water from the sink. So I'm going to put a little bit of water down in here. The other thing that I really enjoy with this is the fact of how quickly it actually warms up. So turn this back on. It's burning. If you notice here off the front, this will actually change colors. This will turn to a yellow once this water is actually warmed up to a point of boiling. And when I mean boiling, it's actually at a rolling boil. So the cool thing with this is once you see yellow, you're at a rolling boil. So if you're trying to purify some questionable water source, here's a quick and easy way to do it if I have something like this with me. So I'll let this kind of come up here to a boil. It shouldn't take all that long. I've got the fuel at about 50%. Yeah, we're about 50% there. And it's just now starting to turn a little yellow here. I'm going to let that go just a little bit longer and let you see what this looks like once we actually have this to a full rolling boil. I'll then pour the water out of this into the other cup that I brought with me, make a little tea here, and we'll talk about some closing thoughts. Like I said, I've done a lot with this. I've had this on a lot of different adventures that I've done. I even take it to work when I do range work with the PD that I work for. You see here too, this is starting to come up to that yellow color. You can see here, we're starting to get that yellow there. That means this water is now to a point where, and I can actually hear it. I'm going to shut this off, take the lid off because it's kind of a chilly day. But you see all that steam coming out. But actually I've taken this to work with me when I work range days at the police department, because I like having the ability to warm up either coffee or to make coffee when I'm doing those type of things, so I don't waste the other little bit of water that I brought. I'm going to turn that right back into there. I'll put my lid back on that. I'm going to set the Jetboil over to here because it's kind of hot right now. I don't want to burn anything up with that. And now my water can go back inside my bag as well. So, Jetboil is a great thing to have. And I'll break down my backpack that I have here maybe on another video when we've got more sunshine and better filming conditions. But I do, inside an Altoid tin here, keep a couple tea bags with me. Just brew up a bit of green tea while we're here. Guys, even though it's a rainy day out here in the woods, it's a day that I've really enjoyed. Saw some mushrooms that I'm going to try to identify. They definitely look like they're poisonous just because of the gill structure on them, but try to identify those when I get home. I have some pictures and some videos that I've taken of those. I've enjoyed just getting out in the woods, even though it is a cold, rainy day, just hiking through the woods, enjoying nature, kind of letting all the hustle and bustle of our modern world kind of go away and have it all slip aside. It's something that I've realized as I've kind of continued this survival journey, this bushcrafting journey. I've realized that too many people get caught up in our modern day world trappings. They don't take time. This piece of woods is about a mile, maybe a mile and a half from my home, and just come out here and hike through the woods, smell the trees, smell the breath of the trees. Those simple things to reconnect with nature at a more profound level, at a deeper level. Those are the type of things that I want to do as I move forward with Two Feathers Survival and take this into 2018 and beyond. I had to learn a lot of filming techniques. I've watched hours and hours of different videos on how to produce documentary style films. Watched a lot of Les Stroud. I've watched a lot of Ray Mears even to try to pick up pointers and things that they're doing with both of their productions and incorporate that into this channel. So in 2018, I'm looking forward to kind of relaunching an all-new Two Feathers Survival. All the old brandings will still be there. It will still be the same thing. You'll still get to see my ugly mug, hopefully on a weekly basis still. Probably be shaving here in a few weeks because one of our campaigns at work is now starting to come to a close. But at any rate, I appreciate y'all coming with me today on a very cold day. I appreciate you continually watching the channel. For the folks that always are the first 20 or 30 to watch a video that I put up on the channel, I thank you for doing that. And I also thank all the new subscribers to the channel. So guys, I'll see you real soon. And again, and as always, keep your knives sharp. Keep your go bags close, guys. Had a great time today. See you soon.